Hi everyone, thank you very much for joining the last Hacker Hotshots of 2020, a year which we are obviously very glad to see the back of. And we're very lucky today because we are with John Vecchi, who is the CMO of Anitian, and John's going to give us an overview of Anitian's solutions, and then we're going to ask some questions at the end. So John, thanks again for joining us. Really appreciate that.
You got it. Great to be here, Henry. Thanks so much. Appreciate the time. And yes, so we'll talk a little bit about Anitian, what we're doing. I'm going to spend a lot of time talking, though, about kind of what we want to try to accomplish and what is the vision we have for kind of the enterprise security market. And that is kind of moving the enterprise world to automated security. And especially kind of automated cloud security and compliance. So we'll talk a bit about that and kind of the real world impact of that throughout the presentation. But first, kind of an interesting projection. This is Gartner's. So Gartner first came out with the 2020 kind of worldwide security and risk management spending, and then COVID hit, and they came back and adjusted it, and for almost every sector of security, they brought it down. As you could imagine, it's not that security will ever go away, but it was definitely impacted in a downward fashion. But one thing was interesting: one sector saw triple growth, even to the closest one next to it, and that was the cloud security sector, and followed, second to things like application security. Why is that? Which is very interesting, and it really has to do specifically with kind of the impact of COVID, the economic impacts of COVID, and for businesses who really for the first time in some instances had to embrace the cloud. So like I said, it wasn't that there wasn't digital transformation, that was not a trend before COVID. It's of course it was. We've been talking about digital transformation for years, but what really happened when COVID hit in the last year is that many enterprises actually did embrace the cloud pretty much for the first time. And if they were in the cloud before, they really put the foot on the gas to accelerate that in a COVID environment, for reasons including, bringing new applications to the cloud, empowering kind of this new world of, they woke up one day and their workforce was entirely remote. And so they needed to empower them safely to work remotely or for telework. They needed to pivot their business to go seek opportunities in other types of markets where maybe they didn't think they were going to go before. And all of those things really is what's driving that the category of cloud security, because when they go to the cloud, expand in the cloud, bring new apps into the cloud, they do need to make sure that they're secure. And so that has definitely been a trend we've seen. However, it doesn't come without challenges. And when you look at securing the cloud, no question, 3/4 of any company that's doing it will tell you that the big roadblocks was kind of privacy and security. How do we get there? How do we do it? How do we do security? And if you're not, accustomed to really doing that, moving from kind of an on-premise data center mindset of security to, a cloud and a cloud native security, that's tough. And when you pile on top of that, maybe a compliance mandate. So I need to maybe pivot my business, and because of that, I need PCI compliance or GDPR. I need kind of this thing called FedRAMP, which is, to be able to go access the US government markets, right? And then you have kind of the cloud application security market, which is just exploding, and will be, a $14 billion market by 2022. And, things like compliance regulations, quickly securing my applications and integrating application into a cloud environment are things that are driving that market crazy. So just a few trends that are kind of maybe a little bit interesting. But this is a slide I like to look at. This is one that for a lot of years we could look at this from an on-premise perspective, or someone deploying layers and layers of security to secure their enterprise, their data center, their actual enterprise. And this is still happening. Look at all the different solutions we have. There's so many, right? When you move to the cloud, this kind of, I call this like a picket fence, right? It's just layers and layers of security. They're not integrated. Most of the vendors of these solutions don't spend the time to pre-integrate them with all the others. And so to try to go kind of deploy and configure, even figure out which ones to buy, and put these all together in the cloud is incredibly difficult. And as Gartner says, the challenge not so much in just getting you secure. You can get secure. It may take you a year to do it. You can do it. The challenge is in kind of how do you configure it? How do you create the policies and the technologies and control all of them? And this is where we need security automation. Quite frankly, the world needs to move to this. The days of manual configuring and deployment and all of this really kind of needs to end, so that security teams, business leaders can focus on the business and not having to integrate all this stuff in together, right? And so the analogy I use is one that I say is similar to buying a new home. If you want to get into a new home, there's kind of two ways you can do it. You can build a house, or you can buy one, and you can tell your real estate agent, I want a house that does this, that has this much space and delivers all these kinds of features, and I can just go kind of move right in, right? And so when we think in terms of automated security, it's really like buying your own house. It's move-in ready. It's really just saying, look, I need this, 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 and this. And when I move in, I want it just ready. All I want to do is move myself in, move my furniture in. In a cloud security model, your furniture is your applications. That what you want to bring to the cloud. Security automation is the pre-built, beautiful house that's all ready for you to move into. And there's a big difference between the two. Building your own secure cloud, secure environment is very expensive. It's very time consuming. It can take months. It takes a lot of resources. You need your teams to do it, to build it, to learn it. There's a lot you need to do. And at the end of all that, you could have a questionable security posture because you're manually doing it. And because it's not necessarily repeatable, if you want to build a new cloud environment, you kind of need to go build it all over again. That creates some gaps, some potential issues on the security side. When you have a pre-engineered, pre-built environment, it's secure from the time you move in. It's pre-engineered to be secure from the start. It's much cheaper, and for business, if your objective for going to the cloud is one driven by business, and it most certainly is. You don't go to the cloud just because you think it's a nice hobby. You go to the cloud because you're trying to expand your business, grow your business, expand how you secure your workforce and bring new ways of working, whatever it is. Leveraging automated security gets you there much faster. You focus now on time to market, time to revenue, focus on your business. Your security resources, instead of them sitting there for months trying to, select, deploy, configure, build policies and manage all the security technologies, they can actually focus on what they really should be doing, which is finding threats, making sure you're secure, driving the business forward for how can security actually help empower and enable the business. And it also allows companies to encourage and find new ways of working, because they can now more quickly bring applications to market that empower users to do that more effectively and securely. So it's kind of the difference. It's an analogy I like to use. Here at Anitian, and I don't spend a ton of time talking about the products. I think it's too exciting to talk about what they do, and this whole notion of kind of moving to more automated security. But we've got two main platforms. One of them is what we call the compliance automation platform. This is a new category that we helped drive with Gartner. They had their inaugural market guide this year called Compliance Automation Tools for DevOps. And this is the platform. This is, the platform we've got now on AWS and Azure, which allows a company to meet a very stringent compliance mandate. So things like FedRAMP, soon to be CMMC, FISMA, very difficult compliance mandates, and we can do that in literally 80% faster and at half the cost. That's that. Secure Cloud is kind of our enterprise-wide pre-engineered secure cloud. So you may not have a compliance mandate to meet. You have a business objective of expanding your business, maybe seeking a new market, bringing new applications to the cloud, developing a new application, whatever it might be. This is this pre-built house, just move-in ready, secure by design and by default, in code, up to the highest standards of security, that allows an organization to just move in and not spend all that time to customize and build and configure and deploy. And that's our secure cloud. So it really is one that allows organizations to move to the cloud fast, right? To remove these impediments and inhibitors, to empowering new ways of work and cloud migration, and really to achieve more secure applications and data. And so those are the two solutions that we leverage to achieve this. But you can see what is the difference, and the good way to look at this is kind of timelines. I mean, there's no better way than to just show what's if I'm going to do it the DIY way, which is like I do it yourself, build it yourself, kind of try to go figure it out and do it yourself, versus kind of this pre-built, pre-engineered, move-in ready cloud, secure cloud environment. Kind of what's the difference? And you can see, well, it can shorten the critical path, significantly, right? So the DIY way, I can tell you, if you're going to go into the cloud and try to, achieve a new secure environment, all those point products I showed on the earlier slide, you're going to have to integrate those together and, configure them, integrate them, manage them. 4 to 6 months, easy to go do that. And if you're, a CEO or business leader, and your objective is to go seek a new market, to grow my business by going to get new business and new opportunities, to have to say, well, you can do that, but you're going to spend 4 to 6 months just trying to secure your environment before you can actually go do that. That's pretty painful. And it's what I call cost of delay, which has tremendous opportunity cost. Versus 30 days, literally up to 30 days, you can be done with security, and not only done, but you can be assured that it's secure. There won't be manual errors of trying to configure and turn knobs and set policies and all the things you generally need to do if you're going to do it yourself. This is cloud ready, pre-engineered. You just simply migrate up. We just work on getting your app to work in there, and we'll spend anywhere from 1 to 30 days, and generally you can now go and deploy your application. So you're talking about a difference of 80% on the time to market, and the cost can be dramatically less. 50% easy, sometimes it's even more, just because we pre-configured everything all together, and you don't have to worry about that any longer, right? What about compliance? So we can have the same thing to a company that's trying to move to the cloud and achieve compliance to something like FedRAMP, which is the compliance requirement if you're going to sell your, say, cloud-based application or services to the federal government, agencies, DoD, any of the agencies, or it could be things like even PCI compliance or a host of other mandates, where that is a very difficult, mandate and complex compliance requirement to meet. You're talking the difference between 18 to 24 months just to get audit ready versus 60 days. And this is what we do every day. I mean, and to large enterprises. Some of these enterprises who come have been doing it themselves, trying to build this compliant environment. And then by the time they come to us, they may be a year and $1.5 million into their journey to try to get FedRAMP, say, compliant. And we can come in and get them there in 60 days. Most don't believe it's true and until we just go and do it, right? But this is what automation can do. This is the dramatic difference, and why we're passionate about believing that we need to move the enterprise world to automated security, not manual, automated. And when you automate security, you can automate the deployment of security, which eliminates the manual process of deployment. You can eliminate documentation and configuration, which eliminates a lot of manual, time-consuming effort and human errors, quite frankly, on the configuration side. You can even automate attack detection and response. We're automating security not only with the stack, the actual the tools and the point products. We're automating security operations, which is also what we do for that environment. I mean, you can automate the whole thing all the way across, and it's dramatically different when you look at it that way. Real quickly, how we do it. What does it look like? So this is, say, an AWS or Azure environment. You have that platform environment with all the native tools of that provider. So whether it's AWS and Azure, you have all of their tools. And then you have our pre-built environment. That includes the architecture, the documentation, all the best of breed technologies, generally 15 to 20 different security technologies we will have pre-automated, pre-engineered, pre-configured, right? It's compliance ready. All the security controls are there. And then it comes with all the 24/7 security operations. And then the only thing you add your application, right? It's your environment. Again, the customers own this environment. We don't own it. It's their environment. So think of them swiping their credit card to stand up their AWS account, swipe the credit card to stand up our platform, bring their application in. We onboard it, make sure their application works, make sure all the connections are secure. It's all zero trust network access. Everything is completely secure to the nth degree, and basically they're off and running. And that's essentially what it looks like. And then if you look at kind of the architecture, it's basically, here's their application, here's the internet coming in. So the internet could be all of the customers they're serving, whether that's the federal government or e-commerce customers or what have you. It's coming in to their application, but their application is completely secure with our pre-built platform. You can just see some of the technologies that we've already pre-engineered and integrated, right? These are best of breed technologies from Elastic and Sysdig and GitHub and Trend and Qualys and all those different things. And then you just have your secure access into that platform. And this is essentially what it looks like to have this kind of pre-built, pre-engineered environment, and the communication, all the secure kind of communication between the two. So that's essentially what it looks like. And then it's really just this idea of kind of security and DevOps. Yesterday I had a post on LinkedIn specifically referring to the SolarWinds attack, which the world is experiencing, and we will be experiencing the ramifications of that attack for a long time. And every day we learn more about what the attackers did. But what we learned yesterday is that the attackers were able to implement and launch the Sunburst malware by compromising the CI/CD pipeline and build process for the SolarWinds build that the DevOps teams were bringing to production, which would then be the update that everyone just had automatic to trust and download. And they were able to do that by compromising the DevOps CI/CD pipeline. Why were they able to do that? Well, there's a lot of reasons, but one thing is for sure: to DevOps teams, security is an impediment. And when their objective is to move code to production and try to get it out to their customers using agile ways and methods, security is an impediment to them. And it's tough to do that. So you hear things like shift left, and we need to get security into the DevOps process. It's easier said than done. It's happening, and the enterprise world is making a lot of progress on that front. But it's an impediment to DevOps teams because it's tough and it's a pain in the ass, quite frankly. And it means that they need to, not only do they need to do what they need to do, but they've got to deal with security teams and all the products and integration, the configuration, and what if there's an audit they need to do, and it makes it really hard. And my message to the world yesterday on LinkedIn was, it doesn't need to be an impediment anymore. we've automated this. And really, when you hear DevSecOps is what we really want to talk about, it really means integrating and engineering security right into the CI/CD process in the pipeline, and making sure that security is there by design and default. It's already there. We pre-engineered, we pre-built it. Don't build that. DevOps teams, go do what you do. Build great software with great features and get it to production. Don't have to sit and worry about security. And do it that way, which makes your application and your environment that much more secure. So we can move away from human errors, human configuration errors, right? So we have what we call a continuous security and compliance automation lifecycle. And this is what we strive for, is that if you can move to automated security, you can incorporate this lifecycle where it's just continuous. You're constantly securing, discovering gaps and vulnerabilities. You're fortifying, discovering, and detecting things. And it's all happening by design and by default in code, not by turning knobs. And by trying to deal with different point products. It's all there in one pre-engineered environment. You're constantly complying, applying templates and enforcing policies, whether that's policies for your own security or policies for some compliance mandate you might have to meet that's very critical to your business. We're automating that whole thing and automating the policy enforcement. And then we're also, as lastly, remediating, fixing. This is by what we do on the SecOps side and everything we're doing there. So you're managing vulnerabilities, you're complying, you're reporting. And this is something we're very passionate about. And so, when Gartner says by 2023, that's a lot, that seems far off today. We've had massive attacks, but by 2023, 60% of organizations will have actually successfully or in some way integrated security and compliance as code into DevOps. That's wonderful, and improving their lead time by 20%. We can tell you now, you can do that now. You don't have to wait till 2023. And we're seeing customers improve their lead time by 80%, not 20%. So I appreciate this stat by Gartner, but we can do this much faster. And I believe we need to do it much faster. And that's kind of the mission we have, right? And so we just simply say, look, if we can unite security and DevOps, if we can automate security, we can automate compliance and do all of those things, amazing things can happen actually. And if we just get down to kind of high level, what does it mean to my business? Well, let's look at security teams. You don't have to be, this doesn't have to be threatening if you're a security practitioner. Not at all. Actually, it's liberating. Security teams can actually forego this process of endless intricate configurations and deployment and lengthy policy documents and focus on what they should be doing and where their talents reside, which is risk management and security governance, keeping the place secure, leveraging security to enable the business. That can actually be done. If you're DevOps teams and dev teams, you can stop struggling with security, right? You can eliminate this impediment that's just forever been there. And you don't have to deal with confusing configurations and access rights, and you can focus on feature development, software functionality, developing and bringing the best software to production. And if you're a business leader, this is nothing but the greatest news ever. That's why when we sell, we actually sell to CEOs, CISOs, chief revenue officers, COOs, CTOs, business leaders, because they actually get an epiphany and see, my God, you're allowing us to go achieve our business objective actually faster. Like, it's up to me, it's revenue, it's time to market, time to revenue. So executives and business leaders can increase their agility, they can highly accelerate their market entry, control their costs, and actually to their board and everything, they can actually have peace of mind that they actually are secure. Because this security is built by design, it's pre-engineered, it's there by code. They're going to eliminate all this manual potential security issues. And so that's really, why I believe 2021 is going to be a pivotal year to actually maybe resonate on this idea of moving security to more of an automated solution for companies. So that's basically our passion. And we can show you this. Most companies don't believe it. Literally, when we tell major enterprises that we can get them, audit ready for something like FedRAMP in 60 days, they mostly say, yeah, it's not possible. Or we can get you to the cloud and get your application to market 80% faster. Most don't believe it. And we can do it at half the cost. But within a couple calls, we'll show it to you. We'll show you the enterprises and companies we've done it for. You can go to our website and see the stories. They talk about it. And so we'd love to talk to you more about it. But most importantly, just bring, it's all about making enterprises aware of kind of the idea of security automation. So that's what I wanted to talk about. Hope that was interesting, but happy to take any questions you might have, Henry, on anything I covered there.
Hi, John. Thanks so much. Yes, it was excellent. And I do have a couple of questions for you.
Sure.
One of them is it's kind of really more of a kind of, I guess, more of a sort of statement, really. But it seems to me that the future is going to be the cloud. Is that a correct assumption? I mean, I'm talking about the future being 2025, 2026. That literally everything will be on the cloud. Is that a fair assumption?
I think it really is. And just think about it. I mean, think about the one thing I like to say when that question arises is just think about your personal life, right? Think about everything we do every day in our lives, and how everything personally is in the cloud. You might not even realize it, whether it's watching your TV and everyone's streaming everything from the cloud now, or buying everything online, or looking at communicating on your phone, and everything we do every day. And it's because personally it's a way of life, and we easily adopt cloud applications and cloud things personally really easy. We don't have this process of scrutinizing or being fearful. It's just very natural for us to just go, consume cloud services. We don't even think about it. We do it, right? And personally, our world has just moved to that. When you look at the business perspective, it's been a little bit different. A business leader will go from using all those things I mentioned personally to then looking at bringing their business to the cloud, and suddenly it's like, whoa, nope, apprehension, no, I'm scary, slow down, uncomfortable. And I think the reason that the answer to your question is yes is what we've seen in 2020 is that businesses essentially woke up one day and had to approach the cloud the same way for their business that they've approached it personally, because everything became personal. Work became a thing we did, not a place we go, right? Mm-hmm. And when that happened, everyone was just themselves working in their home. Business became remote, and suddenly every business in the world had to change overnight. And even some of the big ones who said we're the most cloud savvy company in the world, they actually had to change. For the first time, everyone in their business was remote. Everything was cloud. Every application, they needed to get more applications. And so 2020 alone will prove that our world is now cloud. And even post this pandemic, the world isn't going to change. We've realized we can conduct business and move our world and our economy remotely. And I think that's going to stick with it. And all of that remote is done over the cloud. Yep. And so this is the way it is. And so what I'm saying is the security is the same way. Like, just swipe your credit card and stand up a secure environment. Stop building it. And we don't have time. We can do this. We've done it. Don't apply those old manual methods and mindsets to the world we're in now. We need to now automate security, just like it is you go buy a new app, or a company swipes their card and brings Salesforce on for their CRM system, or brings some other cloud application on. They don't build that thing. They just go swipe their credit card and buy it, right?
That's true.
That's what's going to happen with security. Yeah. That helps. Yeah.
Yep, definitely. That definitely answers that one. Which sector do you see the biggest growth?
For us, or just in cloud in general?
Well, I guess for both. I mean, for you guys, and then the cloud in general, do you see that just which sector do you see the biggest growth?
And it's a great question. I mean, what we're seeing is phenomenal kind of we're just finishing a record quarter. And we've had a record year during a pandemic when some security companies aren't doing so great, let's say, or some businesses in general might not be having banner years. And we have, and a lot of that business has been around the compliance side, companies that are, looking at a new world and a new economy and looking for business growth opportunities in different markets. And so they might pivot their business, but in order to pivot, that means that they need to meet a compliance mandate, right? So a lot of times they will look at the government markets. One thing we've seen, certainly in the United States in 2020, is there's one market that's buying, and that's the government market, the public sector, right? That's a marketplace that's buying and on fire. So a lot of companies have been pivoting to sell their solutions, their applications to that market. And so we've just seen a spike in companies really needing to get compliant fast because they have opportunities. In some cases, the opportunity is right there. The buyer, let's say a federal agency or some other buyer, wants that application yesterday. And for them, it's really time to revenue, time to market. And so we've seen that's a big one. From the general enterprise cloud, we're seeing it in, business applications, financial services applications. Those are big ones where anyone in the financial services kind of fintech area, cloud is exploding, right? Independent software vendors who are creating applications that empower, businesses to, securely find new ways of working or empowering their business. We've seen those just explode. And I think you're going to see that. Healthcare is going to get interesting. So we are seeing certain sectors where you're going to see kind of this explode, even at a faster pace than kind of anyone and other sectors and verticals.
So on that subject, and you definitely touched on quite a few times about the SolarWinds hack. Mm-hmm. Let me ask you very kind of in a bit of a blunt way, but was the SolarWinds hack good for business? In other words, was there something that could have been done from a cloud perspective that could have prevented the hack?
That's a tough one. And I mean, this is why it's going to take a while to really digest. And that was an incredibly complex attack, right? It's not that attackers had never, number one, had a strategy of compromising a software update from a vendor to then therefore compromise hundreds or thousands of customers using that. This isn't the first time they've had that as a vector. It's not even the first time they've actually used that to propagate a threat. They've done it in the past, never at this massive scope. And the only one who's going to propagate an attack like that will be a nation state.
Yeah.
Private hackers will be very reluctant to have that kind of SolarWinds attack because the attention, the risk, but if you're a nation state, that's exactly what you want to go do. So, it's going to be a while before we understand. And will one thing ever have prevented it? Maybe not. And will we ever know? But one thing is for certain, what we will see is there will be multiple things that fell down, right? And we're already seeing, we're this early into the kind of forensic, analysis of this attack, which will be going on for a while, but we're already learning some of the methods and tactics and procedures that they used to propagate and actually, compromise the SolarWinds update with that sunburst malware. And it's things like the CI/CD pipeline actually there's all kinds of authentication things that they compromised and different. We're going to see there's always a combination of things. But this is the point, right? Security is the combination of so many different layers and point products and different things. And it's very difficult to manually manage all those and configure those and integrate those and be on top of that all the time. And then you have kind of a world where it's all about DevOps and agile and just, all of these processes and everything's moving to the cloud. It's all into the cloud and it's really tough. I think what we're going to see is a host of areas where things fell down. and where we could have done a better job. And I think, will it come down to manual issues? Not all of it. But will there be configuration issues that will probably be identified? DevOps teams that just bypass certain things because security is a pain in the ass to do when I'm just a DevOps guy trying to get my thing to the cloud. And, security is this impediment that's a pain and difficult. And yeah, I'm going to do it, and all of that. I think we'll see some of that. And so, we're going to learn a lot from this. And this attack is one where, it's an advanced persistent threat, man. And it's going to be a while before we get rid of this thing and those tentacles are shored up that this threat is faced. But when it's, even before that happens, I think we're going to see things that we can do better. And I believe we're going to identify a lot of ways where, had we just automated security, had security been in code and pre-engineered and just there, assured without manual, we probably could have stopped some of this. We certainly could have made it much more difficult, and potentially maybe even identified or detected the threat quicker, right?
Yeah. I guess, I mean, it sounds simple to say this, but I guess we learned from our errors in many ways, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
well, and it's security. I mean, and this is what we do. And now, security vendors will find ways to help, and we'll find ways to, help make sure that a threat like that is harder to achieve next time around. And for us, our mission's going to be, well, we're going to try to convince, enterprises to automate security next time. Do that in a way that can be far more effective in so many different ways. So it'll be interesting to see, but this is definitely a big breach, isn't it? It's one of the bigger ones in a long time. So.
Absolutely. John, thanks so much. Very interesting. We wish you guys all the best for 2022 and onwards, and also 2021. So yeah, fascinating story, and I mean, it sounds like you're in a great spot, like a fantastic part of security to be in. So yeah, thanks again for your time.
You're very welcome. All the best, and happy holidays and happy New Year.
And the same to you. Thanks, John. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Here, bye.